Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we've got a viewer question. It was a long email, so I'm not going to read it out. I think a lot of you guys would tune out, but I've written down some high points that I'm going to reference here. So we have a viewer in Thailand, in Bangkok, and he's asking for some collection advice. He wants to downsize and upgrade, which I think a lot of us like doing and aspire to do at various points of our watch collecting journey. So this is for a recruitment consultant, again in Thailand. He's in his mid-20s. Because of his job, he's in a lot of business formal, business casual situations, but he's a very active guy. He likes playing soccer, he weightlifts, and he also plays tennis. So we want something that's a little bit sporty as well when it comes to our suggestions. Now this is a picture of Rick's collection. We have a Seiko SKX 009, a SARB 33, again from Seiko, a vintage Omega Constellation, a mid-size Breitling cockpit chrono, a Speedmaster Professional. This is the moon watch with Hesalite crystal and an IWC aqua timer. Now what's important here is Rick has two keepers. One of them is the SKX. He wants to keep a Seiko beater. I can't fault him for that. And if he wanted to sell it, he really wouldn't get that much for it anyways. So I think that's a good move. The other keeper is the Speedmaster. Now, the three words that Rick uses to describe his watch tastes: 1, understated; 2, toolish; and 3, classic. Now, he has got about a 7-inch wrist, and he's got some watches here that he's considering. I'm going to go through those right now. This one is the IWC Big Pilot. This one is the JLC Reverso. And this one is the Vacheron Constantin Overseas, but the older generation. Now, Rick, again, wants to downsize. He's okay with selling watches. He's already said he's not bonding with the vintage Constellation, and he wants to go higher end, perhaps getting into high horology with the Vacheron. Now, I like this idea. I always think less is more, especially when the less pieces you have are really powerful. And they are classic. They are icons like the Seiko SKX, like the Moonwatch, and perhaps, the Reverso or an Overseas. The Big Pilot isn't the icon of IWC, although I do think it's attractive. But Rick, given your wrist size, I think it might be a little bit too big. And, if you're in business situations most of the time, I think we could find you a watch that fits those needs just a little bit better. But again, what do I know? These are just my suggestions. Take with whatever I say with a grain of salt, because ultimately this is your wrist, right? Your money, and I've got no skin in the game. Now, that being said, I would say axe everything except for your two keepers. Keep the Seiko, keep the Moonwatch, and add one piece that will really give you a strong trio. And for me, that's either JLC with the Reverso. I think that's classic. I love the history. It's a sport watch at heart, right? So it is a little bit toolish when you think about it, but I would say it's more understated and classic when it comes to the names that you like, right? The identifying factors that you appreciate. I think that hits the mark pretty well. Another one to consider is another historic model, a historic sport watch that's being updated. And in May, we're getting from Cartier the Santos Dumont XL with a mechanical movement. Right now, they only offer quartz, which I think most people are just not interested in. But when you pair that with the Piaget hand-winding mechanical movement, that suddenly becomes so dang attractive. And I think that one would be equally powerful in your collection, like the Reverso, to give you a good base while perhaps you keep saving. And, maybe you do want to go high horology. You want to buy into the Holy Trinity and get an Overseas. Now, the region that you're in Southeast Asia, the Overseas is popular, but I understand a lot of the other lines are too, like the Patrimony. Here in the United States, you think of Vacheron, you're only thinking about the Overseas. Most people don't even know they make other watches. But in Southeast Asia, in that region, I understand the Patrimony is pretty popular and pretty powerful as a watch choice. So that might be something to consider for you, especially given that you dress up a whole lot, right? You can go and play tennis and soccer in your SKX, but the majority of your time, right, if you're in meetings, you're in more formal occasions, you're going to want something that's appropriate for your wrist. And I think instead of the IWC, definitely consider the JLC, the Cartier, and maybe a Vacheron here in the future if your budget allows for it. And something to consider, you know, the older gen overseas are still right around, you know, $7,000 to $10,000, which is quite a bit. But the current generation is right around 16,000, and I think those prices are going to continue to go down a little bit just with current world events in the watch market. So maybe consider going with the latest version if you can get the numbers to work out. I think that would be wise to consider. Now I'm going to leave you with one final suggestion to consider, and it's a bit of a left field watch. It's very divisive. Watch fans either love it, they appreciate it, or they think it's the ugliest dang dog immoral watch that's just shamelessly stealing from Patek, from the Nautilus and the Aquanaut. This I'm referencing is the Piaget Polo S. Now don't throw stones at me, guys. I think this one is a good one to consider. It's right around that price point of the Cartier and the JLC, and it meets the needs of Rick very well when it comes to, it's a sport watch, right? You could run around and play some soccer with it, or you could go into the boardroom and have a business meeting and have something absolutely beautiful with your button-up shirt and tie, right? So it's very versatile in that respect. It has a Cartier movement, the MC 1904, I believe. I think it's kind of cool how all these brands kind of share movements between each other. And it's a good one to consider. So love it or hate it, I think it's one that could be a good addition to your collection should you be interested in it. So guys, what do you think Rick should do? Remember, look at his lifestyle, his likes, his dislikes, his wrist size, and bring some suggestions that maybe I missed. If you have personal experiences with any of these watches, go ahead and sound off in the comment section. I think it would be really helpful. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you have a question for me you'd like me to cover in a video, go ahead and reach out to me via email. My email is in the description. And just as we close, I want to thank you guys. All of the interaction that we have, I really enjoy. I really appreciate the likes, the subscriptions. They've been slowly rising, right? That does mean a lot to me. And I just want to thank you. I really appreciate that. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video.